you know what? If it's not working, just flip it upside down.
Okay. That's what they did with ICC, and now it's Torghast. So it's actually a smart way to look at it. That's literally what that's actually what they did. Yeah, it's smart.
It is Thursday, and if you know anything about the Shadowlands, you know that this is like Christmas Day every single week. A whole new bunch of changes come into the game to Blizzard trying to figure out exactly how to get this thing ready.
Trying to figure out how to make the game work.
It's supposed to come out in just a few days, but that's not happening, and Blizzard is still really struggling to get a lot of the stuff working. Even something as basic as leveling is still bugged, as you can see here, where we tried to test out the brand new leveling experience curve today. It just kicked me out, decided I was not part of a covenant, moved me up to the level 60 area, and wouldn't let me back in.
Damn.
In fact, it turned out that I had been prevented from continuing my leveling experience until I had hit certain levels in Bastion.
Wow,
Yet
what a
all
fun
this stuff
game.
is due to be worked out. Now, many people have speculated on the forums that perhaps Blizzard is being a little lazy, or they're not going to utilize this time well, and that is just not true. And we have seen them make some big sweeping changes just today. Last week, they buffed a lot of the legendaries to make them a little bit more interesting, a little bit more desirable.
I said this before, whenever I talked about the legendaries, that's good. Like, I'm very glad that they're doing that. Like, they have to make the legendaries actually good. Like, the reason why the Legion legendaries are bad because they're really good is because they're hard to get. Like, the idea of the legendaries is that they should feel legendary. That's the whole point of it.
They just took the soulbinds and just went whoosh, and swapped them around. Now, this led to a lot of, like, panic mode from a lot of people.
I'm not surprised.
Haven't we been iterating on this since, like, the early beta? And the answer is yes. Blizzard have been working on trying to get the soulbinds somewhat balanced across all the covenants so that one covenant wasn't just the way to go for such a long time now, that there was definitely a fear that by just flipping them around and shifting things around, they might have screwed them up again. Yet, that's not what I'm seeing, actually. Actually, I'm seeing some quite good stuff here. So what exactly has happened then? Well, Blizzard probably realized the same thing that they realized with legendaries just a couple of weeks ago. Over the last few months, Blizzard has been slowly degrading, or scaling back, might be a better way of saying it,
the
effectiveness of all the new systems in the Shadowlands. Now, no doubt that's because of balancing concerns. If they make things too strong,
I would expect
then they've locked some players away from getting those things. That leads to all kinds of problems down the line.
It's like if you have something that's like super strong and you have to pick, like, if there's like 3 options and one option is 3 times better than all of the other options, you don't have 3 options. You have 1 option.
So they've just been slowly sort of degrading things back, and we've seen evidence of that in the Covenant abilities, in the Soulbinds, in the Conduits, and of course in the Legendaries. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, we went too far. We went too far. These things are no longer that desirable. People are losing interest in these systems that we've spent months and months working on. We need to make them better. We need to up them a little bit. So they did that with the Legos. And then they took another look at the Soulbinds.
That makes sense.
The Soulbinds were one of the heaviest hits out of all of the systems in the Shadowlands, because
I think they are trying to, like, reduce the effectiveness of this stuff, because, like, whenever you look at, like, all these systems put together, because you've got the Soulbinds, you've got the Conduits, you've got the Covenant abilities, and you've got the Legendaries, that's 4 new sets of like, fucking borrowed power that you're getting. 4 new sets all at the same time. Holy fuck, man. Like, how the hell, like, it's like half of the character's power is going to come from these things. Is that the real Ghostcrawler? I bet it's not.
They launched in a iffy state. I got to see an early preview of these before the beta came out. Yet, once we saw them, we were like, oh no, these things are a bit wacky. You're just giving like 10% burst, 20% critical strike. All these things that really skew how certain classes in the game work.
Exactly.
And you can't just throw these things out there and expect everything to be okay. So they took them down a bit. And then they looked at them probably last week or a couple of weeks ago and went, these are really boring now. In fact, one of the bigger issues is that they are supposed to be like an artifact weapon or a talent tree, meaning that the end goal should get better. You start off with something decent, then it gets better as you...
See, I forgot all about this renown thing. Like, what do you guys think about the renown for, like, the different covenants? I feel like is it good or not? It's basically like a rep bar, isn't it? Battle pass? Wait, what do you mean? What's battle pass? What do you guys mean by battle pass? Okay. It's like the battle pass in Call of Duty. Oh, okay. Now I understand. I was so confused, guys. I was like, wait, did they add a new one? Like, is there something bad? Does WoW have battle passes now? I was so fucking confused by you guys.
Grind out more renown, which is the currency needed to unlock.
Yeah, I've never played a game with
I've
never bought a battle pass
And then
before.
as you get high towards the end of the tree into the final big
I just play the game.
ultimate point, everything should be pretty cool up until there. But that's not what was happening. In fact, some of the really interesting stuff was actually at the very, very bottom of the tree. You were getting that first. And the stuff that was left at the top of the tree was super, super boring. And in many cases, utterly pointless. Some things like durability loss on armor is slightly reduced. You have a chance for earning Hearthstone reduction. Things like that people would go...
A Hearthstone reduction? Who the fuck cares about that? Who the fuck cares? Dude, who gives a fuck about that, dude? You got like 8 different portals in the game already.
All I want to do. So this doesn't work because it runs into the same problem that people had with artifact weapons. Or should I say, Blizzard had with artifact weapons. With artifact weapons, we scaled through that tree and we made sure to get the best things as soon as possible.
Yeah, you get the first gold trait. That's the best.
The long grind towards the end was for the less interesting stuff. And that's not the way any of this should work. So they flipped them over.
See, that's what they should do. Like, I remember back in Vanilla WoW, or like in any time whenever they had the original talent trees, you would want to get to the bottom of your talent tree because that's where your capstone ability was. That's where Mortal Strike was. That's where Bloodthirst was. That's where whatever the fuck that you were playing was. Those were the big dick abilities. And I like that. I thought that was cool. And like, it was a good way to tell, like, there were so many people that were bad at the game that they wouldn't go for their capstone abilities. They would just put like 20 points in each tree because they were stupid. Blizzard made it to where you couldn't, after you put enough points in a tree, you had to finish the tree before you went to the next tree because people are just so fucking bad.
They flipped them over. So they didn't really add anything new.
Yeah.
In some cases, they decided to shift what was actually turning out to be the more important spell and make that the best spell. Because we, as people testing this stuff, can clearly see that the tier 3 ability is way better and more interesting than anything else in the tree.
Right.
So they shifted that up into being the main ability. Not only that, the main ability, such as Bronn, the big robot that can be summoned by Forge Light Mechanicos, that is now your first ability. This is a really cool change. So now, when you get your Soulbind, no matter your lowest renown, you will get the big hitter of that tree. Then, the new interesting things that you used to get first, which were typically something to do with your Covenant ability, so it could be Door of Shadows, disorientates things, turning it into a Spectral Fox will heal you for a little bit. They then made them tier 2. So you've got a really good starting ability, or you are getting now, and you're getting your travel abilities. Then they put in the boring abilities, like right in the middle, this durability and all that kind of stuff. Now falls in the middle of the Soulbinds. And then after that are them very interesting, yet not quite as interesting as the main ability. The reasonably interesting stuff is now towards the end, or at the very, very end.
So, yeah, having the more interesting abilities at the end of the talent tree makes it more exciting to get to the end of the talent tree. Because whenever you just get the first few abilities, and those are the main ones that you need, and everything else is just icing on the top, it's like, oh, great, I got this or I get that. There's no point where you're, like, looking forward to logging on and getting and unlocking a certain thing. Like, Blizzard should have a point where players are looking forward to reaching thresholds in the game. And this is something that, like, Arena Points did very well back in the day, is that every Tuesday you would look forward to logging on because that was something that you earned in the previous week and you could work towards a goal. Like Mythic Plus boxes are kind of the same thing except for their RNG, so it's not as cool. But back in the day, you would have all these points accumulated for you, and it's even raids in general, right? You look forward to Tuesday whenever you're raiding because that's the day where you can get new gear and do the raid. So they want to make it to where you're looking forward to things that you're doing in the game and you're not just kind of doing them randomly or just hoping for a possible outcome that could happen that could help you.
These are still cool things. These are things like chance to gain a lot of haste. They're basically trinket procs, versatility moving around, things like that that are good. They are important. They're not super overwhelming, but they're certainly not dull. They're certainly not utterly pointless like a lot of things were originally. So Good change. This is actually remarkable. I was surprised to see how well they've worked this out. In fact, by scanning through several of the trees, the abilities you would have picked up if you would have gone, say, the Biss route, as we knew it at the time, if you would have done that all the way to the end, you would actually still travel the same path. Now, even though they've flipped upside down, even though they've moved some things around, they're essentially identical. It's more a case of the order you unlock them and the prize waiting for you at certain points, which I'm all for. I think this is totally fine. I'm really happy with it. Although it has brought up one issue that Blizzard already fixed, and they haven't fixed it this time. Now, the optimist in me says that's just because
this is actually quickly.
They've just rejigged stuff and they've thrown it back in. And that is when you get your potency conduits. So if you're not aware, they recently reduced the amount of potency conduits. These are the ones that straight up...
for anybody that doesn't know, potency conduits are the conduits that increase your damage.
Increase your damage, increase your healing, things like that. These are what most people would consider to be the important ones, because they're going to directly affect your performance of your character, especially if you're a DPS or a healer, and a tank to that extent. They moved them all so they were all within the same banding, because people like myself pointed out that, hey, unlocking Renown, which unlocks the tiers of your Soulbinds, is wildly different. So if you unlock a potency slot at, say, tier 2, you get that relatively quickly. But if the next one is down at, like, tier 8, that's actually months and months of grinding, like 2 or 3 months worth of grinding in order to get that extra 5% damage, because the conduits...
Holy shit! Months? Bro, Blizzard, listen to me, Blizzard. Attention, Blizzard. This sounds okay, but if you don't make this account wide, you will kill alts. You will just kill alts. Like, nobody wants to play an alt whenever they know there's like an 8-hour, 80-hour fucking grind in front of them in order for their alt to be on the same level as their main. So they have to make sure that this works and it's account wide. If it's account wide, then it will be fine. Like the lack of account wide systems made BFA twice as worse than it had to be. If every BFA account system was account wide, the expansion would have been a lot more enjoyable to play. Like almost any time that I saw somebody playing with a fully decked out, like fully corrupted gear character, I wanted to play that character because they were fun. But knowing that I had to put 100 hours into making that happen made it just completely like I don't want to do it. And that is what cannot happen with Shadowlands, is they have to make these account wide. Do I think they'll do anything account wide at the beginning of the expansion? I think they should, yeah. There's no reason not to. There's literally no reason not to have it be account wide at the beginning of the expansion. Like, why? Like, what is the logic behind holding off on doing it? Like, I really don't understand. Why is Classic different? Because you know what you're getting. You know what's going to happen. You know how things are going to change, and you can plan accordingly. And also in Classic, a lot of people quit because they don't want to level a new character too.
Not particularly interesting, but they are strong. They are in themselves strong. So people were looking at this going, you know what? I'm not going to get this 5% damage bonus, even if I grind every single possible thing I can get every single week, until like way after the raid is launched, way after the arena season is launched.
Yeah.
That kind of sucks. I would rather just have this flat damage bonus earlier, like my friend
That'd be
does.
Nice.
So if I choose Venthyr, I have to wait several weeks longer just to get this kind of arbitrary damage buff.
That one's
compared
mine.
To my friend who chose Kyrian, he just got it straight away.
Shit!
So Blizzard did address that. They recognized it was a problem, as many people were looking at this going, well, if my Covenant ability is only slightly worse, numerically, of course, this is min-maxer type stuff, but my Covenant doesn't get like 5% extra damage for months, then I will go with the slightly worse one to get the conduit
and then swap it off later on.
That would make more sense, rather than take what might be my Biss Covenant ability, but I don't get this extra conduit bonus until well after it would be useful to me as a character. Now, obviously, that varies wildly amongst players.
That's obviously a bad... That's a bad system, but I do think that this isn't really that important, because there's only going to be a handful of people that make a decision like that. but maybe I'm wrong. It just depends on like what the difference is and how long you're going to have the difference. Yeah, it's insane.
But that was something Blizzard came in and they addressed. Now, with the flipping of the trees, they seem to have missed that part out, which has left some people a little scared because once again, we are back in that scenario where certain covenants are going to get this big bonus a couple of months earlier than other covenants.
That is, yeah, that's really weird.
That was already solved.
That is really weird.
But again, optimistically, I think this is just something they missed out on this time, and they're probably going to address it because it is a problem for a lot of people who are interested in getting into raiding, getting into PvP, doing all those things. When that new content launches, they like to go in, be fully prepared, and they don't want to feel hamstrung unnecessarily just because of where a little symbol appears in the talent tree. Right. So I do believe this is going to come out. But overall, how cool is this? We're seeing Blizzard make dramatic changes.
I think this is good.
Point.
Yeah,
what that
it is
means
good.
for the Shadowlands release, I don't know. Because as I pointed out at the beginning of the video, even leveling is still scuffed right now. So there's a long way to go. There are bugs absolutely everywhere. We're encountering them on maybe every 10 minutes. There's some sort of new bug that we haven't seen before that is still occurring from months ago. They have a long way to go to get this right. But they're clearly willing to make important, drastic decisions on how.
Well, this is what we were hoping for with the delay. Like, we were hoping that they would re-envision the systems and make them better. Like, that's what it is. They're not going to fix it because player engagement. Well, the thing is, like, player engagement is going to go down whenever people realize they have to do the same thing twice. If you know you have to do all of the same shit again, you're going to be less likely to do it because it's another barrier to entry.
Systems work, and I for one I'm happy. After checking through it, I was pretty delighted to see this come out, and exactly what their intention was to make the Soulbinds more interesting because you're going to get your big, really good ability nice and early. Doesn't matter. You don't need to grind it out. You don't need to start mathing it out as to where to go.
There it is, dude.
But if they move the conduits back to basically what they were last week, then everything should be fine. I think. Fingers crossed, anyway. Thank you so much for listening, guys, and I'll see you again soon.
Again, I still can't even imagine the idea of this shit actually just being in the game. Like, Shadowlands, you guys know this was supposed to come out, like, tomorrow, right? Like, Shadowlands was supposed to come out tomorrow, and it's just... it was fucking ridiculous. Like, how could they possibly have done that? It made literally no sense. But, regardless, like, this is...
You know what?
Give me a second. Let me read some of these comments here and see what people are saying here. I'm just really worried about class balance in general in Shadowlands gameplay. I don't want a class where the Covenants and Legendaries are necessary for me to feel that the class is nice to play. Yeah, I think that's the big issue too, right? It's like you build classes around the expectation that they'll have a certain Covenant or Legendary, and then they don't feel good whenever they don't have them. Like, I'm at this point, I'm just watching these videos to see if they finally decide to scrap some of these fucking systems. Yeah, I think everybody is. Let's be honest. Did you see the preheat response after you talked about it? Yeah, I messaged him, and I talked to him a little bit. Preheat, not preheat. That's the one I talked to. And you're going to try? Yeah, we talked about it. Yeah, and we talked about it. Okay, let's go down over here. And let's see. Finally, Australians will get access to the beta. Yeah, I mean, this is great. Yeah, which one? Yeah, okay, you guys, yeah, you're very, very fucking cute, guys. Very, very fucking cute.